Welcome to Off the Wall. My name is Trey. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out the show this week. We've got a fun episode for you lined up. We've got one of the hardest hitting DBs in all of indoor football on the show this week. We've got Kevin Ransom, who signed with the Quad City Steamwheelers for the 2026 season. He spent the past couple seasons in Green Bay, and he spent some time playing over in Germany professionally as well. So we dive into his whole football journey, his journey through indoor football, adjusting to the game, and all that fun stuff. We'll also dive into some IFL news. We'll dive into some AF1 signings, and we'll dive into some NAL news as well. And of course, we got a little TAL thrown in there as well. So call to action for this week in the comment section, the IFL Cup. That was announced last week since the last time we recorded an episode officially, and we got all the details. What do you think of the IFL Cup? After the interview, we'll dive into some of my thoughts on it, but I want to know what you think about it. Do you think it's a good initiative? Do you think not so sure about it? Like, what are your thoughts? Throw it in the comments below, and let's see what the audience of Off the Wall has to say and what they think about it. But before we dive into the interview with Mr. Kevin Ransom, have a couple things we need to plug. As usual, we got the socials up first. So if you don't follow us on socials already, please make sure you're doing so at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall FB, Instagram, X/Twitter, TikTok, and now we're on Facebook as well. So all of the links to those are in the description below. So just scroll down just a little bit, and it's right there. Especially on Facebook, we're trying to drive up the follows on there. That way, we could do some live streaming, turf tapes, and some potential other live stuff that we got on the horizon. But we have some quotas we need to meet before we're able to do that. So if you don't mind giving us a follow on there, and then engaging in the post, let me know what you think. Do you disagree with what I'm saying? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you have a hot take you need to get off your chest? That's what those posts are for. Love chopping it up with folks and love hearing what people have to say. But if you're watching on YouTube, hello, thank you for being here. Please make sure you're liking the video and subscribing to the channel as well. We've been seeing a ton of really positive growth this off season, and with the whole season kicking off here in about a month and a half, I'm very excited to see this thing continue to grow. And Spotify, Apple Podcasts, if you're listening through audio only, please make sure you're liking the episode, rating it 5 stars on the review page, and then sharing it with a friend, and seeing how far we can grow this thing out. Because I think arena football and indoor football is really cool, and if you're listening to this, you probably do as well. So let's continue to grow the game and see what we can do there. But we've got offthewallfb.com. We've got some t-shirts there. We got the blog firing up as well. And then Royal Retros, we have a link to royalretros.com. Scroll down just a little bit, click through that link, use code OFFTHEWALL. You'll get 10% off your purchase, and you'll get some pretty cool swag from some old European leagues. They got the old Arena Football League. They got AF1 stuff on there. A lot of cool stuff on there. So click through the link. Again, use code OFFTHEWALL for 10% off. Save a little bit of cash and get something really, really cool for you. So without further ado, here's the interview with Mr. Kevin Ransom. All right. On the show this week, we have a pro football vet who's played around the world and will be a member of the Quad City Steamwheelers in the 2026 IFL season. His name is Kevin Ransom Jr. Kevin, appreciate you taking the time today. How are things going in your world?
Things are going pretty good. Just been preparing for the season, really. Just everyday life, and just hitting the gym as much as I can, the field, just getting ready for the 2026 season.
Yeah, this is going to be your third season in the IFL, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're that vet status at this point.
Yeah, for sure, man. Definitely know my way around the league. I'm pretty knowledgeable of what a lot of offenses want to do. So yeah, I'll definitely like to say I'm a vet.
Oh yeah, let's go. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, about your football journey, and what led you to playing indoor football.
Well, really, I mean, I wouldn't say like led me, but after I say my year in Germany, where I played out there for a year, I actually had a friend that was going to Green Bay's team, was supposed to be going to Green Bay's team. He helped me connect with Coach Roberson, and I asked him for a shot. I said, could I get invited to a camp? I don't need any favors. I just need a chance to show myself, and he gave me that chance. So I'm always appreciative that chance he gave me. And after that is history.
Yeah, obviously a pretty good 2-year run in Green Bay these past couple seasons. But you mentioned Germany. That is fascinating to me. Whenever people are able to play pro ball around the world, how did that opportunity to play over in Munich come about?
So this was this was interesting. So I would say what it was 2023. I went out there. So in 2020, was it the end of 2022? I went to a tryout for the LFA in Mexico. I went
Okay.
out there for a tryout. I did the 40-yard drills. We did some one-on-ones and all that. And I actually got drafted to that league.
Oh,
But the team that I got drafted to ended up flunking and didn't participate that year. And how their system goes, if one team drafts you, it has to go a whole calendar year before a different team can pick you up. So I was
yeah.
out. Was an unfortunate situation. And so then my agent at the time connected me with the Munich Cowboys team, and Nadine, she was the head coach at that time. Me and her got on call. We had conversations. We liked the conversations, and I ended up signing with Munich Cowboys.
Wow. So you were looking like you were going to go to Mexico, and then you ended up going halfway around the world to Germany.
Yeah, it was
Did
it was a crazy turnaround.
Yeah, and what was the timeline of that? Was it something where you're like, "All right, I'm gonna be in Germany next week," or was it something where you're like, "All right, I got a couple months before I get there?"
So it was like when I signed, I left Nebraska that next month.
Wow,
So it
okay.
was a yeah, quick, not too crazy of a quick sign. Immediately get on a plane, but it was like I had a
Yeah,
month to like get ready for it.
okay. So when you got over to Germany, like, I imagine there's some roster rules. I'm not super familiar with the GFL, but I'd imagine there's some roster rules about US
Yeah,
players?
yeah. I think it's only at the time it was 4 Americans per team, two offense, two defense.
Okay. Yeah, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of homegrown, German folks on those teams, and was that a bit of a culture shock for you going over there and being like, "All right, I'm the one of 4 Americans on this team?"
Yeah, that was definitely interesting, especially, some of the meetings we had that, sometimes they had to speak strictly German for everyone to get the message, but no, most conversations, Coach Nadine, she'll keep it in English for everyone to understand, especially the Americans, but she'll let us know she's about to speak German just to get the
Yeah,
message across better for the guys. But yeah, it was a
right.
definitely a big culture shock for sure.
Yeah, one of the things with pro football over in Europe, I'm always interested in is like the level of ball knowledge, so to speak, over there
Yeah.
with some of those guys that play there. Was it something where you're like, all right, we got to get these guys up to speed, or was it something where it can be surprising how well these guys know ball over there?
Well, I was on a team full of young kids. Like,
Okay.
I think the average outside of the Americans that were there, I think the average age was around like 19, 20. Like real young,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
real young kids. Like a lot of young kids. There were some guys over there were about 22, 23, but a lot of the team were a lot of young kids. So there was definitely a part of teaching, knowledge, technique, helping them get better, helping them prepare themselves to put themselves in better situations. But yeah, for sure. It was definitely a little different.
Yeah, it's like you were going over there to play, but also you had to put your coaching hat on to make sure that everyone was doing what everyone needed to be doing to be successful.
Yeah, and like I went out there as thinking like I'm a young person, but I went out there honestly looking like a vet, kind of because of
Yeah.
the knowledge that I had and explaining to the guys what the coaches wanted from us. Like the
Yeah.
coaches would tell us they want us to do this way. They didn't really get it, and I would explain it to them in a better way they'll understand it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I could imagine some of those players were only playing like 2 or 3 years in
Yeah,
pads at that point, and you were at least, I'd imagine, what, 10, 12 years at
yeah,
minimum in the game at that
yeah,
point?
yeah. At that point, yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
that's crazy to think about. But what was the biggest difference between playing the game in the US versus Germany? Was, like, play style because of the experience was a little bit different? Was fan support as drastic as you would think?
um, fan support was it was okay. They supported the
Yeah.
team. I would say the biggest difference was I would say like the high IQs. You didn't see a lot of like just cerebral. like crazy quarterbacks out there. That's the first thing I noticed. So I was like, I'll tell some, like a lot of it, I would say the biggest difference I would say is the techniques out there aren't as elite as they are here. They're good. It's just they start football at like a higher age than us a lot of the time, and we out here we have crazy technique coaches out here that anyone can go to, skill coaches that teach you all these techniques, but they don't really have as many, or as they don't have as many out there that we have access to. So, there are some kids when you go to I was in the GFL, but when you go to the ELF, I would say that there's way more. It's a big skill gap, I would say, between the GFL and the ELF.
Right.
But I would say there's a lot of guys out there that there's some guys out there that could play over here, but it's the opportunities and stuff like that. But I would just say when it comes down to the big difference, it would just be probably ball knowledge. I would say that would be the big difference. I had to kind of like show a lot of the guys like, okay, little cheat codes that you can get around the offense and they won't pick up.
Yeah. Did you have a chance to explore the country a little bit on some off days? Because that's got to be a unique experience. Like, you're getting paid to live in Germany for a little while. That's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, it was dope. We actually took a lot of trips around Germany. Really, like I explored a lot. I met some friends out there, and we went everywhere. Honestly, I explored all of Munich, a little bit of the outskirts of Munich. I went to Austria. It was pretty dope. We definitely went to some places. Yeah, it was pretty dope.
Yeah, what an experience. I'm guessing you would do it again if you could.
If I could, I would. I would say the biggest reason why I left was because I wanted to. I have big league dreams, so I wanted to come back over here where the opportunity is higher. So
yeah, that absolutely makes a ton of sense. But yeah, like you said, the opportunity, you gotta find your spaces, both stateside and international. And I know there's a handful of folks in the arena and indoor game where they have experience over in Europe, and it helped them grow as a player. So it sounds like you're no exception to that.
Most definitely. It taught me how to don't be afraid to step into that leadership role when you need to.
Right.
Also, it also taught me that some guys don't really like when someone tries to be a leader. It taught me both sides of it for sure. Taught me both sides of it for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine stepping up and being a leader while speaking a totally different language. That had to be quite an experience.
Yeah, definitely had to explain what I meant sometimes, but most guys are pretty open to it, especially understanding that I wasn't trying to be walk over you person. I was really just trying to help build the knowledge of the other people around me, really.
For sure, yeah. Well, I want to go back a little bit to your college days. I saw you went to Wayne State College, and I'm not super familiar with the D2 space. How did you end up going to Wayne State, and what was your on-field experience like there?
Ended up going to Wayne State. I got the Wayne offer actually after my last game of my senior year. I actually had no offers before my All-Star game I had in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, I had 0 offers before that, and then after the All-Star game, I had about 8 offers. And yeah, I was pretty. And Wayne was the first school to offer me. And me and Coach McLaughlin at the time, he was the DC there. He just moved to a different college, I think, this year.
Yeah.
But me and him had talks. We had conversations. I went up to Wayne actually for a visit. It was cold. Oh my gosh, it was cold. I went up there in December, I think, and it was talking about 3 foot of snow on the ground.
Oh.
And I go up there, me and him have conversations, and we had a really great conversation. And he seemed like a coach that he appreciated that I was a hard worker, and he appreciated that I didn't want anything easy. And he said, "You come here, it's going to be hard work, but you're going to get better." And after that conversation, I knew I wanted to go there. It really wasn't anything any other team really could tell me, honestly.
Yeah, that Midwest, that was going to be something I asked you about, being from Louisiana, going to the Midwest, going to the Plains area.
Yeah,
that had to be a brutal adjustment. Brutal.
Yeah, man, that was cold. that was I thought I knew cold before I went there, but
Nope.
I had no clue. Yeah, man, it's cold there. That's for sure. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, speaking of cold, going to one cold place to another. After you got back from Munich, you end up going to Green Bay, like you mentioned, and playing in Wisconsin for a couple of years.
Yeah.
In the spring, summertime, not as cold as it is in the fall, winter, but you played there for 2 years, two of the most successful seasons in team history with those squads. Yeah, what was it like getting acclimated to Green Bay and connecting with Coach Roberson and finding a home there?
I would say it was dope. It was Coach Roberson is a very cerebral coach. Like he has a lot of knowledge in the game. And I
Yeah,
appreciate all the knowledge that he gave me tenfold. Like he knows the game in and out, and like being coached by him, you really gotta know, you really gotta understand where he's coming from, because it's like he's gonna show you how he's thinking. He wants you to understand how he's thinking and why he's calling what he's calling. So when you go into the game, you understand what he wants from you. And he's a
yeah,
strict coach. He knows what works. And when you go outside of that, and when you don't listen to him, he's got to let you know you're not listening to him. And then when you go back and
yeah.
watch the film, you see when you didn't listen to him, it didn't work out how you thought it was going to work out. So yeah, he's a
Right.
great coach. He really knows the game in and out for sure.
Yeah.
And being coached by him definitely helped me grow as a player, mentally, IQ wise. I can definitely say I'm a cerebral player, a more cerebral player now because of him for sure.
Yeah, especially in the indoor game, you don't really see too many defensive minded coaches. It's usually a lot of offensive coaches try to score 60, 70 a game, but
Yeah.
Roberson being a more defensive minded coach, it's got to be an interesting approach, especially you on the defensive side. You got to appreciate that.
Yeah, I did. And I mean but he also makes it seem like he makes it to the point that it's like, all right, he's a defensive style coach, and then there's in his mind, and what I like, there is no offense
Yeah,
that we can't stop. And I like that.
right.
And I feel that
Yeah,
I agreed with that like all the time. And we sometimes we'll have conversations on, like what do we think is best here? And like he really connected with the players on it sometimes. And he like mid like halftime, he'll come to the players like, all right, what do we see? What do we like? Talk to me, guys. And he like really, I think I really like that about him, that he'll connect with us and he'll talk to us and he'll hear us out and what's working, what's not working. And he was real.
right.
Sometimes he was real open to it, making changes, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be able to be open to that to have some success, especially the success you guys had in Green Bay the past couple of years.
Yeah.
But before we dive into some of the specifics of the Green Bay, I was scrolling through your socials, getting some topics, and gathering some info, and
Mhm.
I saw the Joker nickname persona and all of that. So I saw the gloves. Some of the pictures were really neat. There was one that was half and half of like half one jersey, half the other. I was like, all right, that's pretty sweet. That's pretty tight. So
Yeah.
what's the story there? How did that come about?
Me and my bro, we every off season, we try to. I think we last year the off season. I don't know if you noticed. The 2024 year, I got injured. I hurt my knee.
Hmm.
I hurt my knee, tore my PCL, and I had
Oh
like a
wow.
little cartilage gap. Yeah, it wasn't a crazy injury, but it was a big one for me. And it kind of
Yeah.
limited me at the back end of the 2024 season. And I was going through that season, and there was a lot of doubting, I would say, coming towards my way. A lot of doubting, saying I wouldn't be able to do this again, wouldn't be able to do that. They don't know how I was going to
Hmm.
perform, and even going into the year, there was a lot of doubting, and it was a. I think I got my surgery right after the season, and they told me it was going to take me like 9 to 12 months to fully recover,
Wow.
and it was at the 6 month mark. We did the testing. Me and the PT. Oh, I can't think of her name, but the PT girl I went to in Florida, we did all the testing. She's great at what she does, and she
Hmm.
got me through, got most of my strength back in my legs. We did the testing. They liked the numbers, and they said, "Can you be here tomorrow?" Boom. So boom. Green Bay said, "Can I be there tomorrow?" They called me. Some boom. I'm packing, get on the flight, fly there, and this is as soon as this was a week before the first game.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I'm like, all right, cool. And the first thing was, all right, we got to see what you can do. And I remember all of this doubting, all of this stuff in my head, and all I could tell myself was, one thing that I know I do is I'm gonna work hard, and if I get a chance, that's all I ever needed. And
Yeah.
they gave me that chance again, and I proved it. I started the first game and started every game after that.
Wow, that's yeah. I didn't realize that. Yeah, that timetable sounds nasty.
Where the Joker came from was
Yeah.
like, all right, everyone's doubting me. My alter ego will be the Joker.
Yeah.
So I
Okay.
first started the thumbs down thing,
Yeah.
and so I said, oh, we need something else. We need something else. So me and him were thinking, and boom, the Joker comes. I'm like, bro, I'm going to get Joker gloves.
Yeah. There you go.
So and boom, that's where that started. I think I had the white ones first, and then I got the
Yeah.
black ones, and then I just went with it after that.
That's amazing. Yeah. This past season, I didn't realize that heading in, and hearing that now, you were able to shrink that recovery period by 3 to 6 months and make it in time for the beginning of the season and play every game after that. That kudos to you and kudos to the PTs that helped you get there.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you mentioned the 2024 team. That defense, that might be one of the better defenses in IFL history. That was a nasty crew from the D line to the secondary. It just seemed like everything was clicking for that team. And tell me about that squad in particular and what made it all work.
Man, that was a fun team to play. It was a fun defense to play with, man. Like,
Yeah.
that was just 8 guys at all time. They just want to make a play, don't want to let the guy next to you down. That's all it came down to. And
yeah,
that 2024 year, we came up with that mantra of one more. Like, give one more play for the guy next to you, and that's
yeah,
where that came from, playing with Rivers, Sean Steele, those guys been in the league before me. Sean Steele has multiple years in the league. I got a lot of IQ from Sean Steele. Man. Like he definitely helped me a lot, especially playing at corner position. He helped me a lot playing with Ravarius Rivers. He is a freak of nature, pure athlete.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it was crazy. Sean Mustin, Rafiq Abdul, those
yeah,
guys on the
man.
D lineman. That was man, bro. Like that defense, we were just. I would say Robe also put it. He said, "You guys call yourselves dogs, so prove to the world that you are dogs." And we took that
There you
personal.
go.
We took that personal, and the whole year we let everybody know. And that was a fun defense to play for sure.
Yeah, I was when we were doing some like coverage of it here on blogs and whatnot. I was like, all right, there's 2 things that are certain. Green Bay is going to suffocate the offense that they're playing, and San Antonio is going to light up the scoreboard. That's the only 2 things we know about 2024, and more often than not, that was the case.
For sure, man. That was a fun defense to play for, man. And then to come up that last game, and it sucks to say, but that last game of 2024 was probably our worst defensive game of the year. And it's
right.
You would hate to have your worst defensive game in the conference championship, but man, that was our worst defensive game of the year.
Yeah, you play that game 10 times, the outcomes probably flipped at least 5 or 6 of them, at least.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it was tough to see, but obviously 2025 made it one step further into that national championship. But it seems like physicality is a big part of your game. Is that something you adjusted to the indoor game, or was that something you've always brought to the table?
No, yeah. Since I was a kid, I was physical. Yeah. Funny thing about it, I was a fullback and a running back up until my senior year of high school.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I played defense 1 year in high school. My senior year, I played safety. That was the first time I ever played defense, really. And
wow, okay.
Yeah, and I was always a physical person. And then, funny thing about it is, after my junior year, we got a new coaching staff. Whole new coaching staff came in, and the defensive coordinator comes in, sees me doing power cleans. He says, "You're going to be my starting safety." I'm looking at him crazy, like, what?
What do you mean?
I'm a running back, looking at him crazy, like he doesn't know who he's talking to. He doesn't know who he's talking about, whatever. come to find out, 3 months later, I'm a starting safety.
Right.
Never played safety before in my life, and yeah, he I'm forever grateful for that man though, man. He believed in me. He believed in me.
Right.
He invested in me, and yeah, definitely made me into the safety I am. He said one thing you will always be, no matter where you go, you're gonna be physical.
Yeah.
And in the district that I'm in is heavy run, so it's like you're going to have to be physical if you're going to be any form of threat. And so one thing I've always been was a physical DB, and the footwork and the skill and all that came with the repetition, and that just got added onto it. But yeah, the physical part has always been there for sure.
Yeah, and DBs can sometimes get a bad rep of like not necessarily wanting to get involved with contact and a little more finesse than usual. But there's just something about the DBs that come through Green Bay.
Yeah,
those guys just love to hit. I don't know what it is.
Coach Robe says if you're not going to hit, you're not going to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, he makes that very known. If you're not going to hit, you're not going to play. So there's no non-hitting DBs that come out of Green Bay. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, what are some of the challenges of being a defensive back in such an offensive-driven sport where, it's a low-scoring game is in the 60s? Like, that's just unfathomable in the outdoor game. So what are some of the challenges on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, I mean, I would say when I came into the league, seeing someone run full speed at me before the ball was hiked was definitely adjustment I had to make. I was like, okay, this guy's running full speed at me. I'm not used to that. That was definitely a big adjustment for me. But I would say, I kind of like it. I'm playing in an offensive legue. These guys are expected to score 50 points a game. If they don't, there's a bad offense,
Right.
And me, I'm like, I'll go off the 2024 year. We said we're going to keep them under 35. We're going to keep every team under 35, and we keep them under 35, we won't lose. And I don't remember exactly what was the average, but I think it was like 33, maybe was the average.
It was below 30. It was below 35 for sure. It was a startlingly low number. Yeah.
We said we made it like a agreement upon everybody on the defense. We're going to keep them under 35.
Yeah.
And we told the offense they won't score 35. Y'all just make sure y'all score over that. And they said we will. And after that, and I think I like it, all the cards are stacked against the defense. And I enjoy it. I enjoy that. Boom, everything stacked up against me, but I'm not going to use it as an excuse.
Yeah.
I'm just going to use it as then boom. Me stopping you now is even more crazier, and I love it. I love that this is an offensive league and everything's stacked up against me, and I'm not supposed to stop up. We're not supposed to stop an offense the entire game. They're supposed to score 8 touchdowns or whatever, but I don't know. I like the challenge.
Yeah, and it's kind of playing into the whole Joker thing where like you're the bad guy. Like you're embracing being the bad guy. You're embracing being the villain. So it's funny to hear you explain that. It's more than just a persona. You embody it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, heading into 2026, you're going to be wearing some new threads in the Midwest. You're going to be signed with the Quad City Steamwheelers here, and putting together quite the roster over in Quad City. What did this past offseason look like for you, and how did you make the decision to head over to Quad City?
Just, it was personal reasons, and one thing led to another, and I had some talks with Corey Ross. We liked the conversations we had. He liked he liked how cerebral I was about things. And we had a few conversations, and then it ended up he saying, I would like for you to play for me. And I said, I'd love to play there as well. And then, that's how that turned out to be, me going over there and play for him.
Were there any other teams you were talking with, or was it like Quad City? I got a good feeling about this.
Tulsa. I was talking to Tulsa, but they really weren't showing much interest in me. I was kind of getting ignored a lot, and okay, I took it a little personal, but we'll see.
There you go. Circle a couple dates on the calendar. Yeah,
most definitely.
Well, yeah, like I said, this Quad City roster is looking really, really nice, especially in that secondary. This secondary is very, very stacked with a lot of veterans in the indoor game. What are you looking forward to the most with this 2026 squad?
Man, with this defense, man, I am excited.
Yeah,
I am excited for this 2026 defense that I'm about to play with, and we have a high-powered offense, which is dope to go up against every single day. You know, I'm
Oh
looking
yeah.
forward to the daily competition in practices. You know, making practice as hard as we possibly can to make the games as fun as they can be. You know,
For
and
sure, yeah.
you know, I can't wait to play with a group of guys that, you know, it seems like, you know, like everyone sees it. Everyone sees the defense that's coming in. Everyone that's getting signed. This defense is like on paper it looks good, you know. But I just want to.
Right.
I'm excited. You know, I'm excited to play with what looks like to be a very high-powered defense in this league, and you know, it's giving me those 2024 vibes. You know, that defense that we had, and it's
Right.
getting me really excited to play with this defense for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you look, it's pretty similar to that 2024 roster on paper. Like you said, we're a disruptive D line, linebackers that fly all over the field, DBs that'll pummel you at the line of scrimmage. It's like, all right, now it's time to prove it. Let's get to work, right? So
I'm definitely excited to play for this team for sure.
well, any specific games you've got circled on the calendar that you're looking forward to, or any rivalry games maybe?
Well, gonna be a fun to go back to Green Bay. I know that for sure. That's gonna be
yeah.
I got some friends in Tucson. That's gonna be a fun game.
Yeah.
I got friends in Tulsa and some friends in Iowa. You know, this season is gonna be very interesting. I'm playing against a lot of friends that I've played with or against before, and but yeah, man, let's just say the second time we go to Tucson is going to be a really interesting time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely looking forward to that Tucson matchup in August.
Yeah, there's a bunch like that. That's the thing with the IFL when the whole schedule dropped. Every week it's like, all right, this is going to be a fun game, and then you look at the next week. All right, this is going to be a fun game. Like the entire schedule, it's like, all right, there's a bunch of really good games here.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. And I'm constantly talking to, you know, guys I play with Green Bay with. You know, we're split up on multiple different teams in the Eastern Conference, so we're going to see each other. And it's like, this is going to be a fun year. This is going to be a very, very fun year, man. And honestly, we play. But if you're talking about what I'm expecting upon the 2026 season, you know, like I said, I'm expecting to be in Tucson in August.
Let's go.
So
love to hear that.
That's my expectations for sure. That's nothing else. I expect to be in Tucson in August and bring home the ring.
Let's go. Well, I've mentioned it on social. I love your game on the field. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's next with the Steamwheelers. We'll put your socials in the description below so people can give you a follow. But before we get out of here, do you have any parting words or thoughts for IFL fans or Steamwheeler fans that are excited for the season coming up here much sooner than we realized?
I hope you guys are ready for the show. That's all I got to say.
All right. Get your tickets to the show. That's what Ransom is saying. That's what he's saying. All right. Definitely. Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time, man. Best of luck this upcoming season, and we'll stay in touch. Right?
Thank you for having me.
Big thanks again to Kevin for joining the program this week and talking through his football journey through indoor football and playing overseas over in Germany. It's interesting to look back on his indoor football league journey. Past couple years in Green Bay. 2 years ago, made it to the Eastern Conference Championship, came up a bit short. Last year, made it to the IFL National Championship, came up a little bit short there as well. So that roster that they're building in Quad City is looking like one that's going to compete for the IFL National Championship. And we very well could see Quad City in Tucson come August 18th, 19th. I'm not even sure what the date is, but mid to late August. Would not be surprised to see Quad City and Kevin Ransom over in Tucson. So make sure you go give him a follow. Let him know you heard him on Off the Wall. And let him know you heard him. The biggest news of the past couple of weeks. Last week, the IFL Cup was formally announced, kind of hinted at something coming during the last episode that was released. But the IFL Cup will be a week-long national showcase event set to debut in May of 2026 at American Dream, which is the nation's premier indoor entertainment destination. So the way this is going to work, there's going to be 2 games played on Monday, May 18th, with the winners of those 2 games playing each other the following Sunday in the IFL Cup Championship game. The 2 losers from that Monday game will be playing in the third place game consolation game. So I've long been an advocate for games being played in unique venues, especially Arena Bowl 33 a couple years ago that took place in the same venue. And I like that they're doing this, but I especially like it because of the streaming deals that they have in place and the attention that they could potentially get from this if it's executed the right way. It has the potential to be a big time attention grabber all week on social media. And they're not just coming in for the game. And I think that's something that people really need to realize and read into on the articles on goifl.com and some of the stuff that they've been posting about it. They're not flying in for the game, peacing out, and that's it. They're flying in. They're staying an entire week and a half in New Jersey for this IFL Cup. They're playing the games on that Monday. There's going to be programming and interactive stuff all throughout the week at the venue and around the venue as well. And there's going to be a lot of cool things, and they have the potential for this to be something really, really unique to the sport if it's executed the right way. So I think that's the key at this point, and they have the opportunity to prove that this can be a successful endeavor, not just for this year, but for years to come. They kind of hinted at this being a recurring thing, maybe not an American dream in the future. Maybe this is something where it's always that American dream, but you can imagine there's a lot of unique possibilities all throughout the country where they could do something like this, and potentially as a little tester for a future market like this game may or may not be. My interview with Coach Mike Davis on the YouTube channel kind of hinted at that potentially being something. So go check that out. Go check that out if you want a little bit more information on that. But in terms of the roster of teams that are going to be there, 4 teams, 3 former IFL champions over the past 5 years in Vegas, Arizona, and Orlando, and then the new kid on the block in New Mexico. So it's a really good group of teams, and we're going to see some really good matchups. And these games are going to count towards each of these teams' regular season schedules and regular season records as well. So if you win the IFL Cup, you also go 2-0 towards your regular season record. So this is a big opportunity for each of these teams, and some of these matchups have the potential to be an absolute slugfest between some of the more talented rosters in all of indoor football, not just the IFL. But I will say, I have been seeing a lot of folks naysaying it on socials, and to them, I say this. Why not? Why not do something out of the norm? It's a unique sport. In case you haven't noticed, it's football played on a 50-yard field with walls that people can get checked over and fly into the third row and knock popcorn everywhere. It's a novelty sport. It's unique. So why not try something unique? I think it's going to be great. But if it flops, it flops. But at least they're trying to do something different. In order for things to change, things got to change. Say it again. In order for things to change, some things got to change. Keep doing the same thing over and over again. You're not going to get some pop like you would hope. So you got to try some stuff that's out of the norm. And again, I think this has the potential to be something that's really cool and really unique, not just for this year, but for years to come. But if it flops, it flops. But at least try to do something, right? So to me, I think a lot of folks in the arena bubble may have said some not so nice things about the American Dream game a few years back for Arena Bowl 33. And then suddenly the league that those people are fans of is doing something similar, albeit a little bit different and a little bit more enhanced, but they're doing something similar. And then suddenly these folks are having to walk it back a little bit. They're having to eat a little crow. They're in their feelings about it. So again, I think it has the potential to be something very unique, and it comes down to the execution at this point, where the league, the pressure is on the league, the pressure is on the broadcast, the pressure is on the marketing, the pressure is on everybody in that front office to make this event as cool and as innovative as it possibly can be, and make some great content out of it all throughout the week. And there's just a lot of really neat things that they can do, but again, it comes down to execution. But when you look at the schedules, I think it's important to note that New Mexico and Orlando, they each lose 2 home games as a result of these games being played in New Jersey. That's unfortunate to an extent, but I don't think that's the end of the world for either franchise. And let me explain. So New Mexico, first-year franchise, technically, it's a reskin of an old franchise. It's a first-year franchise. That's what they're saying. That's what we'll go. Were they going to sell out every single game on their home schedule? No, they weren't. Let's just be honest with ourselves. They weren't going to do that. So if you're going to do something like this, this is the team to do it with. This is the time to do it with this team where they could get a little pop on a national spotlight, while also I'm sure the league is helping them out for losing a couple of home games as well. But you could also make a case that less supply of home games might increase the demand for games that are played. That's marketing 201. My UCF education coming through here. Supply demand, that's a thing. So you could make a spin zone case that this could be a good thing for New Mexico attendance in home games. But for Orlando, it's going to take some time to really get established in the Orlando community, especially after how the Predators went out and how the Predators kind of were running in place for the past 5 to 6 years before they folded in 2025. It's going to take some time to get established in the community, and the Kia Center is also not cheap. It's not cheap. Some of the estimates, some of the numbers I heard being thrown around it's a pretty penny. It's a pretty stack of pennies. So they're probably saving a ton of money flying the entire team up to New Jersey for a week, staying there for a week, than it would be to play 2 home dates. So if you want to talk about the economics of how all this works, they're probably saving money by doing a 2-week road trip, believe it or not. And it's just something where I'm sure Orlando's getting helped out too from the league, like New Mexico. So you can read into a lot of different things and find things to nitpick and be mad about. But for those mad about it, brighten up. Be optimistic. And what if this is awesome? I think that gets lost in a lot of the stuff that happens within this realm of indoor and arena football, where the pessimism immediately kicks in. But what if this is really cool? What if this is unique? What if FanDuel Sports Network really buys into making this a truly unique broadcast? What if Yahoo Sports Network really buys in to make this something unique? It sounds like it's going to be an annual thing going forward. So, like, what if this is cool? It has the potential to be, but again, they just got to execute at this point. And multiple other sports have mid-season tournaments like this. The NBA has the NBA Cup. The MLS has a months-long MLS Cup. So the IFL kind of borrowing from that model and making it their own with a unique venue. I don't know. I think it could be really cool, and it has the potential to be something really unique and set itself apart from the rest of the football world, and give something to folks that may not know indoor football exists. Give something that's going to make them stop scrolling on social and be like, hold up, what? They're doing what? Where? So I think it could be awesome. But again, the call to action, let me know what you think about the IFL Cup. And what do you think, like, what ideas would you like to see implemented to make this as awesome as possible? What ideas would you like to see implemented to make this a success? And what other venues do you think they could play in down the line? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Diving into some signings now, the Jacksonville Sharks signed DB Chris Chukwunike and wide receiver Markel Wade. So Chukwunike was coming over from Quad City last season, had a really strong season with the Steamwheelers. And then Markel Wade is coming over from Albany, having played a couple of strong years with those very high-powered Albany Firebirds teams. And this is a homecoming for Markel Wade. He's from Jacksonville. It's an opportunity. He's played in Jacksonville before for the Sharks. He's coming back home. It's a really, really cool thing for him. And I'm pumped up for him to be able to get some of his hometown folks out to some of those games. And it's a new start for Chris Chukwunike, coming off of a very strong season, like I said, with Quad City. And Jacksonville is starting to retool and reload and borrowing bits and pieces from other Eastern Conference teams to make another run in the Eastern Conference playoffs and take that next step. That inaugural season a few years back, not so hot, missed the playoffs. Last year, made the playoffs. Got steamrolled, you could say. And I guess not steamrolled, that's not fair. But they just got boat raced in the playoffs against Quad City. So, good signings for Jacksonville. And They're continuing to build up their talented roster of players. But in other news, kind of signings, but not necessarily for the IFL, multiple players have been signed to UFL and CFL teams over the past couple of weeks, and wanted to take a chance to highlight some of those signings. In Arizona, a couple folks were signed to the Birmingham Stallions of the UFL. Michael Ayers was set to play for the Arizona Rattlers in 2026. He went to college in Alabama at Samford, and he was getting a ton of praise and a ton of reviews from folks in the alternative football world. So seeing him get that chance is really, really cool. Probably won't ever see him in a Rattlers uniform, but it kind of gives a tip of the cap to what the Arizona Rattlers do in the scouting department in terms of recruiting that type of talent. But then from the 2025 Rattlers roster, defensive lineman Isaiah Coe is also going to Birmingham. So it's cool to see multiple folks from the Rattlers organization take that next step. But also in the Western Conference, we've got a couple of defensive backs from Vegas taking that next step. Trayvon Jones, who was part of that championship roster last year, is going up to the UFL's Columbus Aviators. And then James Caesar, who's been in Vegas for a couple of years, is going up to the CFL with the Toronto Argonauts. So those Vegas rosters are just super talented. A handful of Vegas players over this offseason have made their way up to the CFL. In addition to James Caesar, we got Antonio Wimbush at running back heading up there. We've got Desmond Bland at offensive line heading up there. So the Vegas roster, it's no surprise to see why they were so successful last year when at least 4 different players have been called up to the next level. I might be missing a few, honestly, but yeah, it just shows that Coach Mike Davis has got a really good thing going on in Henderson, Nevada. And then last but not least, Orlando Pirates DB Smoke Monday, all-time football name. He was on the roster in 2025 and was set to play in 2026, but he's getting an opportunity to join Trayvon Jones in Columbus with the Aviators in the UFL. So a handful of impressive names from the past couple of seasons in the IFL, getting a chance to take that next step in their football careers, get back outside, and continue to go and grow from here. So big shout out to all these guys for taking the next step in their career. And it's really cool to see the IFL's commitment to getting players, advancing the careers of their players, coaches, and staff. The proof is there. So tip of the cap to the IFL as well. Switching over to Arena Football 1 now. Couple of things to highlight here. We'll start in Albany. We alluded to it last couple of shows, but quarterback Sam Castronova and wide receiver Isaiah Scott are back with the Firebirds. Both were signed on with the UFL before that league shook things up again for a 5th consecutive year. But they're back in Albany for 2026, and it was starting to look like all right, AF1 might be up for grabs again. It might be a little tight, might be a tight race, but adding Castronova and Isaiah Scott firmly plants Albany right back at that number 1 spot. And you look at that wide receiver room, you got Isaiah Scott, Dwayne Brown, Tyrese Chambers coming over from Bay Area in the IFL, Darian Townsend coming back from last year's team. It's just a stacked wide receiver room with the best quarterback in indoor and arena football in Sam Castronova, with one of the best offensive minds in Coach Damon Ware. So Albany's going to be a problem for the rest of the league yet again, and it's on the rest of the league to be able to challenge them for the throne and challenge them for the Arena Crown title at the end of the season. But there was also a notable trade that happened from Minnesota to Washington. Quintavious Workman, the big, tall wide receiver, was traded over to the Washington Wolfpack, and suddenly this wide receiver room is looking really great as well. They've had talented players at wide receiver for the past couple of years, but the O-line play and the quarterback play has not been up to par to be able to give the offense time to develop these routes and to get the wide receiver to run a POCO, like I got on the whiteboard back here, a POCO route or a COPO route or a streak, a this, that. Like, they haven't had time to develop these plays. So Quintavious Workman, Akil Greer, who was on a Turf Tapes episode earlier this week on the YouTube channel, go check that out if you haven't already. And then bringing in the quarterback Vincent Espinosa, some of the offensive line pieces that they're bringing in, you get a feeling that this Washington Wolfpack team is ready to take the next step. But now you can have a bunch of good ingredients. That's great. But now you got to stir it all up, and now you got to bake it. Now you got to cook it, right? So, it's on them to execute. Just like we talked about with the IFL. Now it looks great on paper, looks good on paper. football games aren't played on paper. So it's on the Washington staff and the Washington roster to be able to prove that they can take that next step and be able to make the playoffs like we talked about with Coach Wells a few episodes back. Then moving over to the National Arena League, one thing I wanted to touch on was the Louisiana Rouxgaroux have hired Steve Walters at general manager. Now, Steve Walters might be a familiar name for some of you. He was recently with the Duluth Harbor Monsters and helped build them into an absolute powerhouse in the Arena League. He also helped a lot with the transition to AF1, but parted ways from Minnesota this past fall with a couple other folks that were with the team prior to new ownership coming in. So not 100% sure what happened there, but he finds his way down south from Duluth down to Shreveport, Louisiana. And it looks like Louisiana was already starting to look like a new organization than they were in 2025. But this is going to be another massive step in the right direction for this group. And I've had some conversations with Steve, and this seems like it was just a good match for all parties involved. So keep an eye out on Shreveport and the football that's being played there. And they're starting to do some really good things on social. They have a little podcast show that's some bite-sized 20, 25-minute episodes. That's been pretty entertaining on YouTube. So go check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, it looks like the Rouxgaroux are starting to get their act together, and they could be a force on the field if they can, again, all comes down to execution, right? So they're starting to do the off the field stuff really, really well, and they're starting to get involved with the community a lot. So this Louisiana team can take that next potential step, and it's exciting to see teams that got their start last season didn't really do too hot due to a variety of factors. Keith Russ, it's good to see them take the next step. But moving over to the Arena League, TAL. The final expansion team was unveiled in their latest logos and branding. It is the Monroe Greenheads. So I'm not sure where I'm gonna do it right here. That's gonna look great in post, I promise. But it seems to indicate that the folks from Duck Commander, aka the Duck Dynasty show, are going to be involved with the team in some capacity with the American flag bandana, duck calls. The event announcing the logo and branding took place at the Duck Commanders HQ, so haven't been formally announced, but you can, 2 and 2, it equals 4, folks. So it's some bold colors, some solid logo selection for all sorts of merch and all sorts of stuff that they can do here. And Foozer Sports Design did an awesome job with these as well. They absolutely crush it with all the logos that they do as the official branding of the Arena League and being able to take part in sculpting the identities of each of these teams. So full league is now known. We got 8 teams gearing up for the 2026 season that kicks off in late May, and it's going to be a really fun season. So I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more about coaches getting hired, players getting signed, tryouts, all that stuff. So more to come, but let me know what you think about the Monroe Greenheads. And that's the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to check it out. Big thank you to Kevin Ransom for joining the show and talking shop about his career, IFL Cup, AF1 signings, NAL hirings, TAL teams getting unveiled, whole lot of things and stuff happening, and we're starting to get towards the end of the off season here. We're going to be entering preseason and training camp mode very, very quickly. So very exciting times ahead. Again, if you're not following us on socials, please make sure you're doing so at Off the Wall FB, F as in foot, B as in ball, Off the Wall FB on all the socials, Instagram, X/Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook as well. Help us drive up the follower count on Facebook so that we can do some live streaming on there. OffTheWallFB.com. Royal Retro's got the link in the description below. Use that code OffTheWall for 10% off your purchase. YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Call to action. Let me know what you think about the IFL Cup in the comments below. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Rate 5 stars preferably. Hey, do your thing. I trust your judgment. There's only 24 hours in a day. The fact that you chose to spend about an hour 15, hour 10. I think it's hour 10. Hour 12. Split the difference. Hour 12 here talking shop about arena football and having some good conversation with Mr. Ransom means a lot. So appreciate all the love and support. Arena football season is around the corner and could not be more excited for it to be here. So thank you so much again. Hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on socials. Take care.